Hello students, I Gopavandhu Meher, PGT Physics, YV Patharchapa Balangir. Welcome you all to fourth lecture of chapter Alternating Current. Let's see today's class overview. First we will be applying alternating current in an inductive circuit. Secondly, we will apply alternating current in a circuit containing capacitor. So let's start the lecture. First we will discuss alternating current in a circuit containing pure inductor. So for this purpose, let's consider one inductor having coefficient of self-inductance L, which is fed through an alternating EMF is equal to inert sin omega t. So we can write that alternating EMF applied to the inductor is equal to inert sin omega t. Let this will be equation 1. Due to this alternating EMF, some current will pass through the circuit. And the current will be alternating in nature, means both the magnitude and direction of the current will change with time. Then when current passes through this inductor, magnetic field developed there can be written as B is equal to mu naught n I, where mu naught is equal to permeability of the medium inside the inductor, and n is equal to number of turns per unit length. Then from this relation we can say that the magnetic field is directly proportional to I. It means if this current will change, then magnetic field will change. It means when current will flow through this inductor, due to changing current, magnetic field linked with this inductor will change. Then according to Lenz's law, some EMF will be developed which will try to oppose this change, and that is known as back EMF, back electromotive force. Then according to Lenz's law, some back electromotive force will be developed in the circuit, which will try to oppose the change of the current, and this back EMF can be written as E is equal to minus L di by dt. Minus L, rate of change of current. Now, by applying Kirchhoff's voltage law, in the circuit, we can write external electromotive force applied is equal to back EMF developed there, because both will be equal and opposite in direction, and magnitude will be equal. So by putting the values here, E is equal to E naught sin omega t, and that will be equal to, by putting the value of back EMF, L di by dt. So we can write that di is equal to then E naught divided by L sin omega t dt. Now to get current at any moment, if we integrate this small electric current di, then we will be getting H E naught by L is constant. Let's take this one outside. Then integration of sine omega t. Now integration of this is going to give us E naught by L. Integration of sine omega t is minus cos omega t divided by omega. So when we write this, then we will get I is equal to minus E naught by omega L cos omega t. But what we observe, we have applied the external EMF in the form of sin omega t, and what we get the result of current in terms of cos omega t. So let's represent this cos omega t in the form of sin omega t, so that we can compare the current and EMF applied. So this can be written as minus E naught by omega L, then cos theta is equal to, we know, sin pi by 2 minus theta, so it is omega t then. And when we multiply this minus sign, with sine function, then we will get this implies I is equal to E naught by omega L sin omega t minus pi by 2, and this will be our equation 2, because we know that minus sin theta is equal to sine of minus theta, and this is going to be expression for the alternating current that passes through the inductor. When we compare the equation 1 and 2, we see that the current has a phase difference of minus pi by 2. If we write this, I is equal to, in this form, I is equal to E naught by omega L sin omega t plus phi, then we can see that phi is equal to here, where our phi is equal to minus pi by 2. It means the current lags behind, because minus sign is there, so it lags behind the EMF. It lags behind the EMF by phase of pi by 2. Means whatever value is achieved by the EMF, that value is achieved by the current after a phase of pi by 2. So that we'll understand in the graph little later. This expression can further be written as I is equal to I naught sin omega t minus pi by 2, where I naught will be equal to peak value of the current, and that is equal to our E naught by omega L. Or this can be written as E naught by, because we know I is equal to always E by R, so this can be written as I naught is equal to E naught divided by some resistance, and the resistance in case of inductive circuit is known as inductive reactance, and that is written as XL. So formula for I naught is going to be then E naught by XL, where XL is equal to inductive reactance. So this is equal to the resistance offered by the inductor to the current, inductive reactance, and its value is equal to omega L, and the unit for this will be then, for this unit will be obviously ohm, because this is also equivalent to resistance. Okay, now let's see the graph of En, electromotive force and current, with respect to phase difference. So for this, on x-axis, let's take the phase angle 0 pi by 2 pi and so on, or we may represent time on x-axis h t by 4, t by 2 and so on, where the t will be equal to time taken to complete one cycle by the AC. Then on y-axis we will be taking the EMF, alternating EMF or alternating current. Then first we will plot the graph for the alternating EMF. So how will you plot this? Now in place of omega t, what is our phase, in place of this if we put 0 first, this 0 value, then sin 0 is going to be 0. Okay, so E will be 0, means at this point we will plot this one. Then by putting omega t is equal to pi by 2, when you put pi by 2, then this E is going to be E naught sin pi by 2, sin pi by 2 is equal to sin 1, so this is going to be E naught, which is the maximum value, means it will show the maximum value. Okay, if maximum value is taken, suppose okay this line is represented by maximum value, then here it will be maximum. Then when you take the phase angle to be pi, then E is going to be, again in place of this, if we put pi now, in place of omega t, when you put pi, then it is sin pi, or sin pi is equal to sin 0, so E is going to be 0. So the EMF will take the value of 0 now at pi. And when you put next, then 3 pi by 2 value, 3 pi by 2 value, then E will be, phase angle is equal to 3 pi by 2, so in place of omega t 3 pi by 2, then we know sin 3 pi by 2 is minus 1, so in place of this when you put minus 1, then EMF value is going to be minus E naught, means at 3 pi by 2, then the electromotive force will be minus, in the reverse direction, maximum value. So if we take in the reverse direction, suppose here it represents the minus E naught value, then at 3 pi by 2 will be getting point to be here then. And when we put again pi, 2 pi, then E is going to be again 0. So again it will attain the 0 value at 2 pi. So when we join these points by freehand, we will get the sine curve. So curve of alternating EMF E is equal to E naught sin omega t can be given as it is shown in the figure, where the maximum value will be shown by the E naught, and this is represent the maximum value at pi by 2. Next we will be plotting for the graph of alternating current I is equal to I naught sin omega t minus pi by 2. So when we take first 0 in place of the phase, so by putting this part to be 0, so we will get I naught is equal to, when you put in place of omega t 0, then we will be getting I naught sin minus pi by 2, and sin minus pi by 2 is equal to your minus 1, so you will be getting this is to be minus I naught. Similarly, when you put phase angle is to be pi by 2, then we will be getting at pi by 2 I is equal to, in place of omega t now, pi by 2. So this pi by 2 here and this pi by 2 will be cancelled, means we will get sin 0. So I is equal to then 0. In the same way, when you put phase angle to be pi, then I will be equal to I naught sin pi minus pi by 2. It means this is going to be pi by 2. So sin pi by 2 is 1. It means we will get the current value to be I naught. And for then 3 pi by 2, for phase angle of 3 pi by 2, I will be equal to I naught and sin 3 pi by 2 minus pi by 2. So this is going to be our, and this will lead to sin pi, and sin pi value is 0. So we will get I is equal to 0. So graph of I will be as shown in figure. Now in the graph, what is to notice is that whatever value is achieved by the alternating EMF, those values are achieved by the current after a phase of pi by 2. How? Look, for example, the alternating EMF has minimum value at phase angle to be 0, and that value is achieved by the alternating current after a phase of pi by 2. मतलब जो वैल्यू EMF पहले से अचीव कर चुका है, अल्टरनेटिंग करंट वही वैल्यू pi by 2 फेज के बाद जाके अचीव कर रहा है. सो इट इज लैगिंग बिहाइंड ए फेज ऑफ माइनस pi by 2. ओके, देन लेट्स सी इट्स फेजर डायग्राम. So for the phasor diagram, you know, you have to take x and y axis, and always we represent the EMF on the positive quadrant, on the first quadrant, as the current lags behind the EMF. So it will be shown back side of the phasor of EMF, hence its direction can be shown as it is shown in the figure. Our next topic is passing alternating current through a capacitor. So for this purpose, let's connect one capacitor with one alternating EMF source. Then applied alternating EMF can be given as E is equal to E naught sin omega t. Let this is equation 1. Now for the positive half cycle of the EMF, when EMF increases from 0 to maximum value, the rate of flow of charges will also increase. So the capacitor will start charging, means its plate will develop positive charge and negative charge. When EMF attains maximum value, the charge stored on the capacitor will be maximum, means the capacitor is fully charged. After that, capacitor will start now discharging, means its positive charge will now decrease. Then for the negative half cycle of the EMF, The right hand side plate now will start developing positive charge as compared to left hand side plate. This going up charge will increase till till the capacitor is fully charged, and after that when the EMF decreases to 0, then the capacitor again starts discharging. It means when alternating EMF repeats its cycle in the capacitor, the charges are grown and discharged continuously or periodically. So we can say that capacitor allows to pass the alternating current inside it. But in case of DC, we don't find this. When you connect one capacitor with a DC source, then as the direction of current is only one direction, then suppose these are the plates 1 and 2, then the plate 1 will start charging, and when the capacitor is fully charged, after that no current passes through the circuit. Okay, it means the capacitor in case of DC circuit blocks the current. Let at any moment the potential in the capacitor is V, potential between the two plates of the capacitor is V, and charge developed is Q during its charging or discharging. Then we can write Q is equal to C into V. Now to find current at any moment, I is equal to, we have to find time derivative of charge. So derivative of, in place of Q, when you put C and value of V, which is equal to our applied electromotive force, so multiplied by E naught sin omega t, and this will lead to constant take outside, and then E naught is also constant. Then derivative of sin omega t is equal to cos omega t, and by applying chain rule, when we find separate derivative of omega t, then we will be getting only omega, or this implies I is equal to omega c E naught cos omega t. Now to compare the electromotive force and current in the capacitor, let's change this cos omega t in the form of sin omega t. So we can write this implies I is equal to omega c E naught, then cos theta can be written with the help of sin pi by 2 plus omega t, sin 90 plus theta is equal to cos theta, or this can be written as I is equal to E naught divided by 1 by omega c sin omega t plus pi by 2, or which can be further written as I is equal to I naught, which is the peak value of the current, and sin omega t plus pi by 2. So this is our final expression for the current. Let this is equation 2, where where I naught is equal to E naught by 1 by omega c. This can be written as, because we know I is equal to always E by R, so then that is equal to E naught divided by R, and resistance in case of capacitive circuit is known as capacitive reactance, which is written as Xc. And this Xc is given by then 1 by omega c. Okay, and this Xc is known as capacitive reactance. Capacitive reactance. Now from equation 1 and 2 we can say that there is a phase difference of plus pi by 2 in the current as compared to the alternating EMF. It means the current leads the alternating EMF by phase of pi by 2. Okay, so let's see this in the graph. So to plot the graph, on x-axis we will be taking again the phase angle, then on the y-axis we'll take the alternating EMF and current. So on y-axis we'll take alternating EMF or current, and then when you plot the EMF graph, as it involves sine curve, so the curve will be like this. Then when you plot the curve for the current in capacitive circuit, as it attains any value advance of pi by 2, for example the alternating EMF has achieved maximum value E naught at pi by 2, then this value must have been achieved by the alternating current in advance of pi by 2. It means advance of pi by 2 means then that will be the zero phase, and at that moment the current must have achieved the maximum value. So if we represent the maximum value I naught by this point, then at zero phase the current must have achieved this value. In the same way, when the alternating EMF achieves the value of minimum, then that must have achieved by the current before pi by 2, means at pi by 2 it must have achieved that value, and so on. So when you plot the graph, then the graph is going to be somewhat like this, as it is shown in the figure. Then next, let's see the phasor diagram of this. And when you plot the phasor diagram, then as usual our alternating EMF is shown by the vector E. Then as the current leads now a phase of pi by 2, and phasor we know always moves in the anti-clockwise direction with angular frequency omega, so the current will be coming then advance of the alternating EMF, hence we have to plot the current, then we have to show the current in the second quadrant, okay, as shown in the figure now, and the angle between them will be then pi by 2, and this EMF represents the phasor EMF represents at any phase omega t. Next we will see variation of inductive reactance with frequency and capacitive reactance with frequency. In inductive circuit, as you have seen, the maximum current can be given as maximum EMF divided by omega L, and where this omega L is equal to capacitive reactance XL, and so XL can be further written as, by putting the value of omega in terms of frequency of the AC, so omega is equal to then 2 pi f or nu, where f is equal to frequency of the AC, and in India we know it is 50 Hz, and then coefficient of self inductance L. So what you observe then, this implies that inductive reactance XL is directly proportional to frequency. Means if frequency will increase, then inductive reactance will also increase. So when you plot a graph of this, then we'll get the graph to be a straight line passing through the origin as shown in the figure. Okay. Similarly, when you plot the variation of capacitive reactance with frequency, then we know Xc is equal to 1 by omega c. This can be further written as 1 divided by, putting the value of omega, it is 2 pi f and c, or this implies Xc is inversely proportional to f. So when you plot the graph between frequency of AC and capacitive reactance, the graph will be a curved line as it is shown in the figure. Okay, then at last let's revise what we read today. We first saw that in pure inductive circuit, alternating EMF and current can be given as E is equal to inverse sin omega t, and current will lag behind the alternating EMF by phase of minus pi by 2, whereas in case of capacitive circuit, the current leads the voltage by phase of pi by 2. Then in case of inductive reactance, we found the formula XL is equal to omega L, or that is equal to 2 pi FL, or XL is found to be directly proportional to frequency. But in case of capacitive circuit, we found that Xc is equal to 1 by omega c, or that is equal to 1 by 2 pi Fc, where F is equal to frequency of the AC. So capacitive reactance is found to be inversely proportional to frequency. So this is completed today's lecture. Till next class, bye.